Hello, welcome to this video. This video will be setting up a local DNS service, and after that we will set up HTTP server for that. So let's begin with that, and we will be using a few DNS, a few virtual machine for that. This machine will be using for DNS. This will be our HTTP host, and we'll use this as a client. So let's dive in. So if you're wondering how three machines means, am I using some special hardware to run three virtual machines at once? What? It's not. It's a simple recording setup. As you can see, this is a Linux-based laptop, just with a few gigabytes bytes of RAM. And so let me show you around. So that's just it. It's an Arch Linux based machine, and running deep in desktop. Intel Core i3 7th generation CPU with not so fancy graphics. I just got 12 GB RAM. 4 GB came bundled, and I added one 8 GB stick to it, and with 3 virtual machines running, it's around taking 7 gigabytes of memory. So that's gonna be fine. So this is the machine we are going to use for setting up DNS service. So let's jump in. We need a package called bind for this purpose. So let's install bind. So bind has been installed now. Okay, so we have to enable the process service for name. So that service is name D. So let's enable that service. systemctl enable name D. Okay, that service is now enabled. So we have to make some changes in configuration file. Configuration file for this bind service, that is in etc directory, that is named.conf. So let's edit that file. vim/etc/named.conf. Okay, so we will be listening on this port. A few options to be taken care of. This is only listening on localhost. We need this to listen from entire subnet, so we just make it as any. So we just don't want to finish our changes. Allow query, that we need any. We are allowing anyone to query the DNS records. So let's move on. Okay, so here we need to add two zone files. So zone files are nothing but the files which are the configurations. They just store the IP address and the machine name. That's all. So let's add these zone files into this syntax. It's very specific for that zone. I'm gonna use generic example.com. Type should be master. Sometimes I believe VI is a kind of good editor. Sometimes I just hate it, especially when I start to make typos. I just really hate VI. But actually it's a good editor. named.con. Sorry, we can create any file forward. There should be two kind of files. One is forward and another one is reverse. Now forward file is according to your DNS domain name. It will search for the IP address, and reverse file with the IP address, it will search for the domain name. So both files should be in place actually. So this is gonna be our forward file, and we cannot allow anyone to update this file, so allow update will be none. And the last parameter, allow query. So we are going to allow anyone to query, so that's gonna be any. So we are finishing our zone in here, first zone. Similarly, we are going to create a reverse zone. Reverse zone syntax is quite a little different. Like you are going to give entire subnet in reverse order. Like if your IP address is 10.0.0. Star, that star notifies anything in that subnet. So you will be taking 0.0.10. So I'm using that range only, so let's go with that. So again, the same 4 parameters will be there. Type will be master. there's gonna be none. Query. It's gonna be LA. So that's the file for now. So let's save this file. Now we need this file, these two files, that named.com forward and named.reverse. Those files must be there in var named directory. So here I have already created those files, and you can see this is time to live is 1 day, and this is the DNS server ns1.example.com, and this is the email address of that DNS server admin. So this will refresh in 1 day, retry every hour, expire in 1 week, and minimum time is for 3 hours. So this is basically the TTL options, means time to live options for this DNS entry, and this will get refreshed every single day. So this is NS1, that its IP address is this entry is A type server, this is IP address is this forward, and I just got another see on server we will be creating 2 web servers, so we need 2 DNS entries for the same IP address. That's gonna be forward file, this is the reverse file, in which we are going to do the same thing. So basically we'll be using 10 as DNS, IP address 10.0.0.10, that's our DNS. 20, that's gonna be our web server. 30 will be our client, and 20 again, that's a web server. I just have created one extra DNS line item. If anything goes wrong, I'm gonna need it in the just in case. So these are the forward and reverse files. Let's copy these files to var named directory. You can do it from command line, you can do it from CLI, anyway. Earlier I had configured this, but for just sake of creating video, I'm just configuring it again. So I had uninstalled bind service, and but the file still remains here. So these are the files. So let's check if our file is okay or not. that is okay. Let's check reverse file. That is okay. So let's compile the file. So this is going to be okay. There are no errors, I guess. So let's start this service. So this IP address is reverse file is working, and if you run the forward query, okay, so DNS is working right now. So let me cross check once from the other machine. Okay, that's fine. That is also working. Reverse is working. And forward is working also from the other machine. So that's it in this video. For HTTP I'll be creating a new video real quick.